Hello?
Yeah, you're
Do you
good.
hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me? Okay.
I hear you. I hear you and I see you.
Hello, and welcome to People Keep Dying, a podcast where we talk about people who die.
Oh my God.
I'm your host, Angela.
You don't have to yell into Why are you yelling? Okay.
Yell right into this mic.
So that's your host, Angela, and I'm your host, Stephanie.
Okay,
And
I'm going to restart this.
No, we're not restarting it. We're going to keep it right where it was.
We're really loud in the beginning, so people are
I will.
I'll wake you up.
Yeah.
Anyways,
she's just coming right at
This
you.
episode won't have a death in it because this is our 10th episode, and we thought maybe if you were possibly interested in who we are, we'll talk about ourselves a little bit.
I mean, we're not here. No.
This is like getting to know us
Yeah, we decided that 10 episodes in, maybe we should talk about ourselves a little bit.
a little bit.
Maybe we should be
Give context when we're talking.
Yeah, so you guys can understand who we are as people.
we
and
can
why
al-
we do the things
we can
that
talk
do.
about how we met for the first time.
We'll get into that. So yeah, so they're gonna be broken up into 3 sets, but we're just gonna do a little Q&A
Mm-hmm.
in this one so that people can get to know us. And if you guys don't care about us, and you're only
Just
here for
skip
the
this
murder.
episode and get to the next episode because the next one will be about
You'll just have
a
to
death.
fast forward to episode 11, which isn't even out yet, but maybe later.
It will be by the time you listen to this, possibly.
No.
Some people I
Oh,
backtrack
okay,
all
yeah,
the time when I listen to podcasts.
I'm like, if they're gonna listen to it when it goes live, then no, they're not gonna be able to fast forward to 11. Sorry,
but for the most part, a lot of people, I think, like binge listen to podcasts, which is what
Yeah.
I do.
Well, hopefully, if people find us in later episodes when we've, hopefully gotten better,
Yeah.
they won't come back and listen to these.
Maybe
these
drunker.
early, these maybe.
If you're like,
drunker.
who the hell are these girls? And then they're like, they find episode 10. They're like, oh, that's an intro thing.
Yeah, it probably should have been episode 1.
No,
But-
this is better.
Episode 10, here we go. So, I guess the first question should be,
How did we meet?
it's just, I don't know. I don't think people care about how we meet.
No,
My first question was going to be like,
People always care about how
what
you
got
meet.
you into like the world of murder and true crime?
But let's
What
talk about how we
fascinated-
met because
Okay.
it was kind of interesting.
I mean, we met online.
On Reddit.
Sorry, let's backtrack a little bit. There was a friendship wanted ad on Reddit that
In the-
I posted on because there were a bunch of people moving to my town, and I guess they like started up like some, hey, like I'm looking for friends, because it's hard making friends
As an
when you're an
adult,
adult
yeah.
and you don't work.
Or you work from home.
Sorry, when you work from home and you have limited exposure with society, it's hard to make friends. And so I had posted this like little help or friends wanted post. I guess this is so embarrassing.
No, it's not.
And my screen name had SSDGM in it.
Which is a tagline from one of our favorite podcasts, My Favorite Murder.
Yes. Which maybe you've heard of, and if not, go check them out. They're great. And so she sent me a message asking me about the SSDGM.
To make sure that it wasn't like a weird sign off that I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, some
and-
other weird person's like initials or whatever. And I was like, yep. And then like a couple months later, we finally went to go get lunch.
Yeah, and then we should meet in person. Hopefully no one murders us. So let's
Yes.
meet in public just in case
Yes.
we're murdered.
Well, especially because, well, maybe for you it was a little bit more scary than for me.
I met other people online as well.
Well, no, I just meant like because I've got my murder name.
Oh,
Because I have a murderous last name. Which
That made me more
Yeah,
interested.
that there's a good segue into like part 2, which is like what made you get into, what made you love the world of true crime and murder and
Yeah.
all this.
So I'll answer that, I guess, first, because then yours is going to be a little bit
I mean, I can answer. Mine's pretty basic. Like, so I grew up I have a murderer in my family, a prolific one, and he was arrested. Like, it came out and he was arrested when I was 3 or 4. and that really shaped me into it. And then I was a victim of some crimes when I was younger, and just sort of like, and then also CSI. I grew up watching
Yeah.
like a lot of CSI, a lot of like Law and Order, and so the psychology behind people who did things like that, I've always been super fascinated by. And also probably because when I was like 3 or 4, my uncle told me that being a serial killer was genetic and that I was going to grow up to be a serial killer. And there
And you
was
still have time.
there's still time, but it was just something that I never wanted to be one. And I think in my quest to not be one, I became obsessed with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like all the ways to like not be this.
Yeah,
Like,
so you read into
yeah.
it and then you get like really addicted to it.
yeah, which is why I can't. Like like I can't read certain murders, or I don't prefer to research certain murders because it affects me in a different way than it probably should, and that it makes me feel uncomfortable in that I enjoy it too much, I guess. Like, not to sound like a fucking creeper here.
Then cut.
Yeah. cut this,
Cut
Stephanie.
this. I know.
But no, I just like it was something that I was always worried that I would become one. And I don't know, I don't like my answer anymore.
Oh my gosh. Your answer is perfect. But anyways, mine isn't, it's kind of more like, I guess, normal stuff. Like, I grew up in LA and
Where there's tons of
there was
murders.
tons of murders, but like, I grew up like, we had money originally, but then we lost a lot of our money because of bankruptcy, so we didn't have money. But so all we had was like the basic, channels. And you know what's on basic channels at Saturday nights? America's Most Wanted.
Yes.
And that was my favorite show when I was younger because it creeped me out every night, so I could never sleep, and it was great. And I was so fascinated because I always, like when you're little, I don't know if this was the same with you, but whenever I was little and I was doing something, I would immediately imagine how I could die in that situation. Like I fall over and die, get hit by a car,
yeah.
die.
I mean, yeah.
Break my neck, die. Like it's, yeah.
See, my therapist would call that suicide ideation. I don't look at it as suicide ideation because I'm not actually committing the
No,
suicide.
I'm not, yeah.
But that's what she would refer it as to me. But it's just like this obsession of
Dying.
it is not an obsession of dying. It's just like, I
was
could
just
die doing this.
Yeah, I was super
Like,
paranoid about dying. And every time it was on the news about dying, then I was like fascinated because I'm like, I think like it was just kind of like maybe I'm so scared of dying that I'm trying everything I can to not die. So
well, your brain's always like alert. So
Yeah.
that's like something that your brain will do is to like assess
dangerous situations.
And then like for you to react to them. So I mean, you were just aware of the fact that your brain was like
Constantly, like I would sit in hot cars a lot, like with the
What?
doors closed on
No.
purpose.
I mean, I
I
shouldn't
would-
say that we didn't either. I don't recall them being hot.
No, I mean, as in, like, my dad would tell me to leave, and then I'd be like, no, I'll just sit in the car. And then I would purposely roll the windows up and sit in the car because I liked
You're-
being warm.
What?
So I was the one who, I specifically remember doing this a lot as a little kid, and they thought it was really weird.
That
But it
is really
wasn't like,
weird.
I just liked being, like, really, like, like when you go
Like,
into,
really,
like,
really hot?
like saunas.
Did
I
you like
liked
breathing?
saunas.
Do you like breathing it in? Do you
I
like
think
the
that's what
warm
it
air in your
was.
lungs?
I think that's what it
interesting. I am the
was.
complete fucking opposite.
Yeah.
So opposite. I can't. If someone puts a blanket over my face when I'm sleeping, I wake up in a fucking panic. But I think that's because of my childhood.
Yeah. See, I just liked sitting in like warm cars. I think it's really hot in
really
LA,
weird.
but I remember like my sister telling me like you need to get out of the car, and I'd be like, no, I want to sit here. And everyone thought it was really weird that I would do that a lot. But then as like I got older, I realized that's how kids die, and I stopped doing it.
Yes. It's a.
you know, you shouldn't be doing a lot of things that can kill you.
Yeah. I mean, see, you used to sit in hot cars, and I shouldn't say purposely. When I look back now, it's like, Stephanie, how did you never get kidnapped?
Yeah.
But getting kidnapped was something that I was always that I think
Yeah.
I talked to you about this.
I don't think I like fantasized about it, but I did worry a lot about it for some reason, even though like I lived in a really safe like after I moved out of LA, I moved to a very safe suburban neighborhood, but then those are always the places where those things happen. So after I said no one believes me.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if I was fantasizing so much about being kidnapped or if it was like if I was fantasizing being rescued.
Yeah.
Probably, you know what? It was probably a little bit of both
Both, yeah.
because I'm twisted. But yeah, childhood fantasies are a little weird.
Yeah. But I remember like one story of American Most Wanted like stuck with me, and it was like about this girl who they couldn't identify that like only had $3 on her body that was stolen, and then she was killed. And then like for some reason that one stuck in my head forever.
Wait. She had $3 on her body that was stolen?
Yeah, like apparently they
she's-
knew that they had like a certain amount of money on her or something. Like I don't. Like, the memory
Okay.
is kind of fadey
Okay,
because
I was gonna be like, did
it's
she
such a
steal the
long time
$3 or did
ago.
someone
No,
else
someone
steal-
stole the $3 off her body. I'm
That's
not
so
sure how they
weird.
knew how much she had, but they did say that she was very poor
Hmm.
and they couldn't identify her body. And I'm like, how did they know they're poor? But like, you know,
Maybe she had a $5 bill and bought like a chocolate bar.
yeah, and
she
then
had
maybe
the
a receipt or something. I don't
with
know.
like $3.26.
But either way, the fact that like she was killed, and then they had, you know, like back in the day, they didn't care as much, so they gave you like those really creepy renditions of like the head sculptures.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember those too.
I mean, they can't be shocked that our generation is completely obsessed with true crime and stuff like that because
all the
we
TV
watched
shows
it's what we
so
grew up with.
much. There's like 5 different CSIs. There's
Yeah.
like
During the
Law
formative
and
years. Those were
Orders.
but those came out during the years where we were like we knew better.
Yeah.
So we were like absorbing all of the information about how to get away with our crimes or how to like when you commit a crime, what you need to look for afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from TV.
Definitely not like what you should not be doing if you go around murdering people.
Which I mean, I understand.
I
why
know for
they
sure I
have
wouldn't get
them.
away with it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't for sure
Oh,
never get away with it.
I would never get away with it.
No.
Because I'm not smart enough to. Because I know that I'm not the smartest person in the room.
Exactly.
I don't have the ego.
Anyways, we're not condoning killing people. In case that wasn't obvious enough,
No.
but we're not condoning killing people. I'm just saying that I would never do it anyways, but if for some reason, who know, like I hit my head on something, like that's like the thing, right? Like you hit your head and you become a different person.
You know what?
I wouldn't get away with it.
Everyone is capable of murder. It just requires the right triggers.
So I would not get
Y'all
away
can
with
fight
it.
me on that. Everyone is capable of it. And everyone who comes in is like, I would never. And it's like, you don't know that you would never.
You don't know what kind of situations.
Yeah, you don't know what your
you could be
triggers are. You
placed
don't know
in.
what it's going to be.
What if
You
there's
don't
a zombie
know,
apocalypse? What if a purge happens? Then
Like,
you have to.
if someone came in and they were attacking your loved ones and you killed them, I mean, what do you killed them? Like, but I guess it all depends on your view of murder.
There was this great story in my I didn't live there, but it was really close to my neighborhood in Long Beach. There was this old man who shot this girl who was robbing him, and then so he shot her as she was trying to jump out the window because she was trying to stop, like he's trying to stop her, and then they didn't know how to charge him because she died, and then it's like, but then they like robbed him and they were in his house.
Yeah.
And he's also like very old, so even if he went to jail, I don't know what happened 'cause I didn't catch up afterwards. But I think they just kind of like let it go.
I'm sorry. You're trying to rob me in my own home.
And they knew that they were robbing him specifically because he was an older gentleman who lived by himself.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
So that's why it was
mean,
one of
not
those
to say
things
that
where
that
it's
girl
just like-
deserved to die, but like, hey, don't fuck around.
But there's always repercussions for whatever actions you do. Not that it's always death. Not saying
I mean,
it's death.
most actions have consequences.
Yes.
Most. If you're unlucky enough to get caught.
I will always be unlucky enough to get caught. Always.
Only because we're not the smartest ones in the room. And that's fine.
I'm okay with that. Anyways, we should probably start on these questions because
Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna get into these questions. Those were like, I mean, those are the ones that matter. Who are you? How did we meet? Why are we into murder? Who's your favorite murderer? Do you have a favorite murderer?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I
Because I don't.
know really, and I don't know, it's not like a joy, but I do think like female murderers fascinate me more only because they're more rare and because they're almost always emotionally driven. But Catherine Knight was so crazy that like I don't know, like that was a running joke for a long time after I met Nick that I would definitely rip his skin off if I found him cheating on me. And that's the agreement as of now. Like this is so the fact that like he didn't cheat on her, she was just crazy, but she did kill him and then rip his skin off and then like try to feed his dead body to his children. And I'm like, that's like a level of like movie psychoticness that I don't know. It's just so unbelievable, and I think like that's why I enjoy the story because it doesn't even feel like a real thing. Like it doesn't feel like it happens in real life. Because I think it's very rare for it to get to that point. I
I
don't think there's
don't.
many people who do what she did.
I think. See, I don't have a favorite, mostly just because like they're horrible.
Yeah,
Like
for me.
Jean-Benet Ramsey.
Yeah,
Other than like my familiar murder, Jean-Benet Ramsey would be the murder that like really piqued my interest because I was about 8 or 9 maybe. Um, that story riveted me. But when I first heard about the toy box killer, that story shook me to my core and stuck. It stayed with me forever.
I know Richard Ramirez was like the big one from my generation. Like I think he was caught before I was born, but only a little bit before I was born, and he was definitely hitting up like the neighborhoods that I lived in
But you would still feel
previously.
that.
But so you still feel it, but yeah, but it's different. You know, it's not like he doesn't. I guess like it doesn't stick into my head as much just because like I guess like I don't know. I think when someone goes like when someone just kills and like rapes and you're just like he's a really shitty person. But when someone fucking loses all ability to even function correctly as a person, and they just I don't know, I guess they have a mental breakdown. They're just crazy, like they're just fucking crazy, then that's when it sticks with me because then you don't know what to do with that kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only reason her story stuck with me was because the extent of how crazy she was, and that was really it. Yeah,
I don't know the Catherine Knight story.
yeah. I think I sent it to you. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you've talked to me a little bit about it, but I actually don't know.
yeah.
I don't know her story so much. Okay, so given the choice of anyone in the world, who would you have as a dinner guest?
So I thought about this for a second, and I don't really. I don't know. I feel so awkward.
See, I feel like okay. Here's the thing. We'll change this up. Dead or alive, anyone in the existence of time, who would you have for dinner? You have to pick someone dead or alive, ever in time, a murderer, and then if you want anybody else to come as your dinner guest. But what murderer would you want to have dinner with?
I want to have dinner with
Or victim?
I want to have dinner with Elizabeth Bathory. She's the
Elizabeth
queen
Bathory.
that was the one who was accused of killing virginal women and then bathing in their blood.
Bathing in them?
Yeah. And I really am just curious if like she's all myth or if she's actually a terrifying person. Because, you know, like when stories from back then happen, you don't know if it's just kind of like speculation of what it is. I'm just so curious
Yeah, and
about her
rumor.
because, you know, apparently she killed like over 400 like girls. So I just want to know.
And you think that's a really high number, but then when you hear about like the nurse from Germany that killed like 100 people,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, maybe 400 isn't all that much if you take into consideration the time, the access to girls, and all of that shit.
Yeah.
400 doesn't. I mean,
It's still a lot.
it is a
but
lot. It's not to say that's a small number. It's just
I think they ended up like shoving her in a tower or something. But I mean, she was fascinating to me just because of like the fact that she I guess like the idea of bathing in virginal blood to stay young is such a
Yeah, who
joke.
told you?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
And I just want to know, I'm just so curious about like is it all myth, or are you actually that crazy? And if you are, then was it of a time like everyone was that crazy, or are you the only one who was that crazy? But as of still alive, I would have had Anthony Bourdain, but he's dead now, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
And only because I love food so much. But it'd probably be Alton Brown.
Alton Brown?
He does like Good Eats, and he does Iron Chef, and he does Cutthroat Kitchen, and he's very surly, and he's very like informative, and I don't know, just love food.
I would have dinner with Ted Kaczynski. I think that he would have amazing dinner conversation. I would just like to be able to pick
He's so
his brain.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his writing and how he viewed the world, and
He did it the wrong. He went about
yeah.
it the wrong way.
he went about it the wrong way.
But yeah.
But I just would like to pick. I would just like to hear more. Hear more about his thoughts and stuff like that. The second person like would either be Jack the Ripper or the Zodiac Killer, and only because I just want to know who they were.
I think they found out that Jack the Ripper, like through DNA testing, was like a mentally ill guy.
Did
He
they?
was just, yeah, he was a normal guy who was mentally ill, but he was able to get away with it because it was just prostitutes he was killing. So who cares? Yeah. Whereas Zodiac Killer, it's definitely Ted Cruz.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Would you like to be famous, and if in what way?
I would never like to be famous in the way of like people recognizing me by my face. I don't like that kind of stress. I like one person stopped me on the street once and then said my name, and I said I didn't recognize that person, and I still don't remember how that person. I still to this day do not know who that person was, and
But you were so bothered that they knew you?
but it was really bothered me that someone knew me. And I know that, like, to a certain extent, if you want to be successful in anything, you're going to have to put your face out there.
I mean, not really.
But, like, to a
Be a
certain
writer.
extent. Yeah, but writers still have their face out, but it's not, like, as much. I want to be, like,
And I don't even think you necessarily need to have your face out as a writer.
I want to be very moderate. Usually, if you want to market correctly, you should also put your face out because you're also doing book tours. Yeah, so your face is still out. I want to be, like, successful enough that no one recognizes my face. Not so successful that people actually like stop me on the street and talk to me.
But it says it's famous. So you want to be famous.
If I was gonna be
in
famous
a
for
way-
something, it'd be great to be famous for like curing something or like solving a big problem that like, people had. But I'm not that smart. So
See, I want to be a famous artist, and I don't necessarily think that my face needs to be
no, not
a
for
part
art.
of that.
Art's different.
Sometimes I think I want to be a famous writer, and you can have a pen name for that because my big thing with my name growing up was I always felt like I was judged on my last name, and so I would probably do like. That's why I don't.
I think women almost always do pen names because they have found that's why I like
Especially for
J.K.
men.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling did, because she didn't want to have like a female name on there because there is like a certain amount of prejudice for some reason. I don't know why.
Sexism.
But anyways, like women usually do have pen names, but the thing is that like you do need to put your face out there. You won't become like super popular.
See, I don't. Maybe with the writing, but
A lot of the time you still
could-
show you
can
still
still
have a face
show
out.
up, but like the people that show up for
Just don't market as long as you don't market yourself. That's another thing.
That's my thing. I'm not marketing
Yeah.
myself. I just want to market.
Yeah,
what
and
I've-
that's fine.
what I've
Your face
done.
will be out there, but then unless people are going out of their way to know for some reason why you look like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
If you were able to live, I like this question. If you were able to live to the age of 90, and you can either retain the body of a 30-year-old or the mind of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, what would you want?
it would depend on which 30-year-old's body I would be living in. Because let's be for real, it would have to be a very healthy 30-year-old's body that I want to be able to live in for the next 60 years.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't
That
specific.
was mine. Yeah, that was mine too. So
if it was a
just
healthy 30-year-old, with no, I guess, like, yeah, they're a healthy
good
30-year-old.
skincare. I want that 30-year-old skincare forever.
And I would live until 90 with that because my grandma only started losing a little bit of her memory in her mid 90s. But when she was 90, she was perfectly fine. She remembered her memory was better than mine. So if I get her genetics,
She's probably
I'll be
eating
fine.
a lot of
Soy.
omega.
And she was eating a lot of bone broth and tofu.
Those Asians,
rice. And and she traveled until her 80s. So I feel like I'd be fine if I could, I think what stopped her was her body. So yeah, I definitely keep the body.
Sometimes I wonder, do I even want to live till I'm 90? Like, I really question what the point to life is. What exactly? Like, you're basically just spending when you get to a certain point, you're basically just waiting to die.
It depends on quality of life. That's what I mean. So that's why I said I would keep the 30-year-old body.
And listen, the quality of life for my previous 30 years haven't, in the grand scheme of things, it's been okay, but they haven't been that great. So I'm not looking at 60 to 90 being all that.
I think it'll be great.
The next 30 years might be spectacular, but it'll all go downhill from there. I also think that I would probably want to keep the body of a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Mostly just because, whatever, with the mind. Same with your argument. My argument was, for me and my family, the brain kind of starts weaning off in the 70s and 80s. We haven't really gotten anyone in our family to the 90s. So I don't really know too much about that. But, I mean, I just don't, getting old is rough on your body, man.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have my body stay young. But it also depends,
on whose 30-year-old body I'm taking up, because it really depends on whose 30-year-old body I'm taking up.
Because if it's my 30-year-old body, no, don't want it. I wouldn't even want my 30-year-old brain either. I would trade that shit in.
Well, that's what. So there you go.
Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die?
I am pretty. The thing is that everyone in my family either died of cancer, but then they weren't directly related to me. But then I think all my grandparents, my grandma's still alive, but then both my mom's side of the family parents are also dead. They all kind of died very peacefully. So I have a feeling that I'm gonna go real just in bed.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be I'm gonna be real dramatic.
No, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a really unspectacular death.
You're just gonna die in your sleep.
As I've said, unless Nick dies before me. If Nick dies before me, all rules are off.
She's gonna wear this white gown, and she's gonna have the most dramatic scene on top of some bridge.
I'm definitely gonna die. It's a different thing.
Off,
yeah, it's gonna be
holding on to Nick's corpse.
Yeah, it's totally gonna be a different thing if Nick dies before me. But if everything goes to plan, like we agreed on, because we agreed on this, if he dies after me, then I'll probably just go in bed peacefully. Just because everyone else in my family kind of has, so I just yeah.
I have two. So I have a really strong sense that I'm gonna fall down something and die, whether it's stairs, a mountain, anything. Just I'm gonna fall down and die, or I'm gonna get into a car accident and die. I have more of a
practical.
I have more of a pull to the car accident than the falling down. The falling down's been around a lot longer. I hope that I just die old in my sleep.
That's usually how it usually goes. Hopefully, I don't know. That's how I seen it. So the only person I've really seen die was my grandfather, and from what my grandma told us, he just said, "I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed," and then he was dead. So that's why I just assumed that's how people died.
Oh no, that's not how people die in my experience.
So yeah,
people are treated a little bit worse.
Yeah. So
So what do you feel the most grateful for in your life?
I'm grateful for my husband.
I'm grateful for my partner too. That was going to be my answer because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not really grateful for. I mean, I'm grateful for the
good
life that I
health.
have.
Yeah.
But the life that I have because of him. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm so incredibly
Yeah.
grateful for him, and I'm grateful for our friendship too.
Yeah.
Yeah, score some points.
Even though it's new.
Even hey, you know what? New shits are the best shits.
Yeah.
Sorry. If you can change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
I thought about that a little bit, and of course, like everyone has complaints about like their childhood, but I don't think I had like a super difficult childhood now that I think about it. Like it would have been nice if we had more money because I never saw my parents. They worked 6 days a week except on Tuesdays, and like they worked until 7, so I was always home by myself until 7. I never really got
That
to
makes
spend
sense.
time with them.
Yeah.
And so like
You wish you had more time.
time with like I wish I knew like my parents more. I know my dad and my mom divorced when I was very young, so I didn't really get to know my mom very well. And my dad always worked, and he was always stressed out.
Did your dad got custody of you?
Oh yeah, in Korea, men get custody of the kids.
I didn't know that.
That's it. But then we weren't in Korea. This was in the States. But then apparently my dad made a big
It's still
like
like
deal,
the cultural.
and it's culturally like men always get the children, so he just got the children. There was no child support from what I think happened, and it would have been. It's kind of embarrassing to even ask for child support. I think in Asian culture, so you don't ask for it.
Well, yeah, because it's the man asking the woman for money.
Yeah, and there's no way.
So I could see how that would be.
So he got all of
considered
us.
shameful.
Yeah, and then so like I wish that there was more like memories of us, like me and my dad at least together, because I know that like money stressed him out a lot.
Yeah.
So I just wish there was more money so that I had more time. That's the
Yeah.
big thing.
For me, if there was anything that I could change about how I was raised, it'd be fucking put in a different family. Like,
Let's start all over again.
Yeah, let's just
somewhere else.
Let's
and
just.
then we'll
Is
figure
there
it
a
out from
all
there.
of the above? Because that's what I'd like. I wish that we were raised.
Yeah.
That's what I wish. That's what I would change was that we would have actually been raised as children instead of just
Kind of left like
like
latchkey
yeah
kid
like
style.
left
Yeah.
latchkey kids or pawned off rather on our grandparents. I
Yeah.
guess.
I think I was lucky that my dad's allergic to alcohol, so there was no way that there was going to be any. He smoked, but who didn't smoke in
Yeah.
the 80s and 90s?
Exactly.
But besides smoking, like just cigarettes, even, it was just, that was it. He didn't drink because he was so allergic. So I guess I didn't know how, like, I didn't grow up with it. So I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's growing up with parents that have substance abuse problems is it's a I don't know, it's a difficult thing, I guess.
Yeah. I don't imagine it being easy.
No. Well, it's because the kids have to raise themselves. Then that's
Yeah.
basically or they have to raise their parents and kids shouldn't be raising their parents.
No.
Um
This isn't I Am Sam.
yeah. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
See, I was thinking about this one too, and I'm not really sure. Like, it would be super cool to. I don't want to sound greedy, but I just wish I didn't have to worry about money like every morning when I woke up.
So one quality. So if you were to, so you want to be financially secure.
Yeah, but I think the quality that I really should want is to feel. I wish I was more motivated, and
Yeah.
not lazy. And
Yeah.
it's definitely something you can just do yourself, but that means that I gotta do it.
Which I mean, self-motivation.
But it'd be really
hard.
cool to have
It's hard to
like
motivate yourself to get some self-motivation.
it'd be really cool to have like a really useful talent, like I don't know, be really good at like fixing things or like be really good at something. You were really good at like something useful is what I mean.
Yeah, but what usefulness do you want? What ability do you want?
I don't even know, maybe like being able to fix anything.
Like you want to be a really good handyman, handy woman.
maybe, yeah. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know. Like, I thought about like all the abilities that you can
See,
have.
all I'm thinking about is like, so you want to be able to like fix a refrigerator? Like, I'm thinking of like
Fix a
trades,
car,
like trades
yeah.
work.
But I mean, that could also be good too. I think what it is that
Mrs.
like
Fix It.
you think of like any superpower, and then you think of all the downsides with that superpower.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about the downsides.
Because like if you learn, if you know how to fly, then your body may not be able to pressurize properly, and then you just explode as soon as you go up too high. If you're super strong, you can accidentally hurt someone. If you're super fast, then that could mean that like everything's so slow in comparison. Because I watch a lot of superhero TV shows, and this is all the fears that happen. And so that's the reason why like every superpower I could think of, I'm like, there's so many downsides unless you have A, B, C, D. Like you have to have all of it together. So I want to be Bruce Wayne.
Mine. I want to be Bruce Wayne.
That's my superpower. I just want to be Bruce Wayne.
She just wants all the money
and like all the brilliance
and the dead parents.
Not the dead parents, but all the brilliance as well. You know, like he's very, very smart.
That probably came from the dead parents.
That's genetic, not because they're dead.
Well, no, it's just because they died so young. So he was probably forced
I think
like,
that's genetic too, to also
to do well in school. I don't think that's genetic.
I don't think he did well. I think he's brilliant. He's very like he has very good detective skills, and he's very good at like.
Still think that that's a nurture thing and not a nature thing.
I think it's a nature thing as well.
Sorry, microphone.
But I want Bruce Wayne's powers. All of them.
Well, my ability that I would want would be the ability to properly articulate and vocalize my thoughts and feelings.
Oh.
That's what I would want. I want to be able to, if I want to say something, I want to know what to say, how to say it, and I want to be able to say it.
I feel like that's what a lot of people write because that's when you can fix, you know.
See, I can't write. I'm too much perfectionist with my writing as well because I think too much and then I'm still like I'm stuck. But no, that's the ability that I would want. And like in all situations all across the board. And then flip side to that is I would wish that I could hear people's thoughts.
Oh, I would never want that.
Oh, I do.
I don't want. There's some thoughts that should not be heard.
No, but those are the ones that I want.
I don't want to hear any of them.
But only if I can turn it off. But if it's like a constant,
yeah, that's
like
what I mean. That's what I'm afraid of.
But I mean, it's a quality or an ability, and
I feel like I would hate everyone if I knew what everyone's thoughts were all the time. Because you know, you're obviously everyone's gonna have like a negative thought. I'm for sure would hate every single person in the world if I could listen to everyone's thoughts.
Yeah, I think I'm just too curious.
Yeah.
And I would want to know, but it would need to be like a controlled.
Yeah.
I need to be able to turn it off.
Not overwhelming.
Yeah, and it can't be overwhelming because then
you see the superpowers I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a flip side. But I mean that's why Jean Grey's crazy. Yeah. But okay.
Anyway,
so
what is your most terrible memory? I don't even know if you want to do that one. I always have like the weirdest memories for terrible memories. This isn't even a memory. This is like someone telling me what happened. But then apparently when I was younger, I was fighting with my cousin, and my cousin, we were like fighting and yelling at each other, and all my family members were in the house. And he's like, "I'm gonna leave," and he opened the door, and then my mom was standing in the front door with a guy with a gun on her back because he was trying to rob her.
oh my gosh.
And so he looked in and saw like my entire family, which were like 15, 20 of us in there. And he ran out, and then my uncle and my dad, I think, chased him after him. But then I don't know, like I very, very vaguely remember the memory, but I don't know if it's because people told me the story. And at this point, it's one of those things where it's like, did it happen? Because I know, I know that like there was a lot of robbery concerns because we owned a jewelry store, and it did, like my mom used to take different routes home every single day because we were almost always being, threatened to be robbed. But I'm like, is it a memory, or is it something that like I conjured up a little bit more because people kept telling me what happened? So then I'm afraid. But I do know one was me and my cousin used to call 911 and then hide in the closet, and then you would hear like bang, man, like this is the police, and then we just hide and laugh,
God.
and then my grandfather would come out and be
Oh
like,
my
"What are you
God.
doing?" We're like, "I don't know."
What? Oh my
We thought it was so
gosh.
funny, and that's don't call the cops.
Oh my gosh. The transplanted memory thing that you were talking about though, where
Yeah.
you weren't really sure if you experienced it or if it was like transplanted there from stories.
Mm-hmm.
I have that where when I was like 3 or 4 and my dad's parents were like moving houses or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they before they moved into their current house, they were in this one house, and like I have this memory of me going into the house and then going into the room, and I used to lay on the floor and smell the floor because her floor smelled like perfume. But then I also watched Anastasia, and that's a fucking scene in Anastasia
where she smells
and
the
I
carpet. It
can't
talks about
remember now if
that
that
was
actually happened to
Yeah.
me or if I'm transplanting it from a TV show or the
a movie.
movie.
Yeah,
But like I have like real life imagery of it.
yeah.
And so I think possibly I used to do it and then maybe watching the movie
Connected it.
sparked that memory and now I have this like really weird like did that actually happen to me or did it not happen to me? But yeah, I want to die.
It's hard to know. It's
hard to
really
know.
hard to know. But yeah.
So what do you think is too serious to be joked about?
I don't know. I think you need to find humor in almost everything just because everything's so depressing that, like, finding humor in it is the only way you can deal with awful situations sometimes. Like, I know people say, like, you can't make 9/11 jokes or something like, but I understand
I
wanting
think it
to.
depends on
Yeah.
how it's delivered,
Yeah.
the context,
It
and
has
the
to be done
delivery.
in a very respectful manner, not making fun of victims. But if you're gonna make a joke about something, but then you're trying to cope with it, and it's different. It just really depends. It's not the subject; it's the delivery.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't
it
think that there's
is.
anything that's too serious to be joked about because I feel like humor is a coping mechanism for a lot of people. But I do think that I understand that there's certain things that people don't like other people would have a problem
Yes.
with it being joked about. But like you said, like delivery,
And read the room. Don't make like male chauvinistic jokes at like a feminist convention. Read the room.
yeah.
I think that's
but
important.
that's not to say that like feminists shouldn't be joked about or that men can't joke about
It has to be done
feminism.
in it just has to be done in a certain way. You can't just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, I don't think there's anything that's too serious to be joked about, but it really depends on the delivery and the mood and the room. And also like if it's not for me or if I don't think that it's appropriate or that I mean, that's just me
Yeah.
and that's doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't be joked about. That's
Yeah.
just my own Um of all the people in your family, whose death would you find the most disturbing and why?
I don't want like basically anyone. Like I feel like I'd be really sad when anyone in my family dies, but I have an understanding of how age works, right? So obviously you're way more disturbed when someone much younger than you dies. So I feel like if one of my nieces died, I'd be the most disturbed because of how like they shouldn't die before me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be my brother.
Yeah.
If my brother died, I'd probably find that the most disturbing because he's the one that I'm closest to. And then I guess it would sort of depend on how did they die. Did they die in a disturbing way?
Then you might, or if they died like in a really sad way, then I think like if anyone in my family dies like a really slow, painful way of like cancer and stuff, that will be very disturbing because you have to watch someone just disintegrate in front of you, and it's just so hard to watch someone that you love just, I guess, fade away like that, and that would really disturb me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then think of that and then think of children, and then it becomes even more sad. So then that's why I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, no, children Children, like, I guess, like, the natural order of things is that, like, children shouldn't die.
Before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People should just all die of old age.
Yeah. Right.
In a perfect world. I think that's it. Okay. All right. Well, that's all the questions.
Yeah. You made it through our entire conversation somehow, and you didn't get bored, hopefully, and fall asleep. But if you did, it's okay. I'm very happy that we helped you do something.
We're very boring people, so.
I basically am like that person who's like, I'm married. This is my husband.
And I'm sad, and this is my depression baggage. Let me share it all with you.
And then I'm like, I just avoid anything that makes me totally unhappy and ignore it, which is probably not healthy, but I don't care.
It's fucking healthier than dwelling in your shit like I do. All right, guys. So we'll be back with our normal song and dance next week.
And if you have any interesting deaths that you would like us to cover or just want to talk to us, email us at peoplekeepdying@gmail.com.
Or you can reach out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook.
If that's how you choose to message us.
Yeah, all of them are People Keep Dying across all the socials except Snapchat, because
we're never getting Snapchat. I'm too old for Snapchat.
We don't need to snap you photos of us.
No, I'm never.
We're not committing the murders.
No. Yeah, but if one of us do, we promise we'll cover it.
Yeah, we'll be like that fucking dude that signed up for the documentary of his own fucking murder and then admitted it in the fucking ending.
It's
We'll do it on the. Oh my gosh, no! This is.
It's Robert Durst.
Hey, this is what's too serious to joke about.
No. But yeah, I promise. So yeah, we will. But yeah, we'll catch you next week. All right.
Thanks for listening.